Welcome back. We're going to look at solving rational equations today. We have just that one goal today is to solve rational equations. Here's a few things to consider when you're starting to look at a rational equation. So first, you want to write all fractions with a common denominator. So these are kind of some tips that you could use. You don't have to use each of these every time, but they might be helpful at different times. So that's our first little tip and trick. We'll call these tips. And then you could also multiply both sides of your equation by a common denominator or by the least common denominator. Okay, and then the end result is going to be that you're hopefully going to have an equation that has no fractions. So solve your equation. All right, so let's go ahead and try a pretty basic one to begin with. So example 1, we've got x over 8 plus 1/2 equals x over 4. So based on our tips on the previous slide, we could either try to write everything with a common denominator and then multiply both sides by that common denominator, and that will get rid of all of our fractions. So to do that, your common denominator, you spend a lot of time with this in Algebra 1, in Algebra 2, finding common denominators. It looks like my common denominator is going to be 8. So to get a common denominator of 8 in this fraction, I'll have to multiply 2 by 4. But remember that what we multiply the denominator by, we also have to multiply the numerator by. So I'm going to end up multiplying the top and bottom of this fraction by 4. And then in the last fraction, to get a common denominator of 8, I'm going to have to multiply the numerator and denominator by 2. Okay, so what that gives me is this: x over 8 plus 4 over 8 equals 2x over 8. Now, the next thing that we want to do here is multiply everything by the common denominator. So if I multiply this entire fraction by a common denominator of 8 over 1, that's going to allow me to get rid of all of my fractions. Watch, and I'll work through this really systematically this first time through, but when we start to do some in the future, I'm not going to necessarily show every single step. What that looks like is this: I would have x over 8, and that would be multiplied by 8 over 1 if I'm distributing this 8. And my rule is when I have one fraction in an equation, I turn everything into a fraction. That is why I wrote that as 8 over 1 and not just 8. Then I would have plus 4 over 8 times 8 over 1, and then equals 2x over 8 times 8 over 1. Now, the really beautiful thing about this is that if you remember anything from Algebra 2, you talked a lot about looking for giant ones. Well, we've got a bunch of giant ones here. There's a giant 1 here, there's a giant 1 here, and there's a giant 1 here. So the really nice thing about that is what we're actually left with is just x over 1, which we'll rewrite this in just a second. Like I said, I'm going to show you kind of every step along the way this first time through, equals 2x over 1. And we end up with this equation that really doesn't have any denominators that we need to be concerned about. So we don't need to write it like that. We could just write it as x plus 4 equals 2x. And then you've got a really simple equation that you can solve. Subtract x from both sides, and you're going to have 4 equals x. Now, the one thing that you have to make sure with rational equations is that your solution will actually work in the original problem. So the original problem was this: x over 8 plus 1/2 equals x over 4. If I take this 4 and plug it in up here, you can check to make sure it actually works. Where you're going to run into trouble is when you start to have x's and variables in the denominator. That's when it could get a little tricky. Okay, let's try another one. So let's try one with some variables in the denominator. So example 2, we're going to have 1 over 2a minus a plus 2 over 2a squared equals 1 over a. Okay, this one can be a little bit trickier to figure out what your common denominator is. So what I would suggest is that you write everything in its factored form. And what I mean by that is take all the denominators and write what they would look like if you multiplied your prime factors. So 2 times a, that's just 2 times a. I can't really split that up. But that 2a squared, I can think of that as 2 times a, and then equals 1 over a. Now what I have to do is I have to make my denominators all look the same. So to do that, I start to compare them. In that first denominator, I notice that I have 2, and I also have a 2 in the second denominator, but I don't have a 2 as a factor in that third fraction. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply that fraction by 2 over 2. I notice in the first two fractions, I have a's as, actually in all three, I have an a as a factor. But what I need is to pay attention to this second a in that middle fraction. So since I don't have a as a second factor in that first fraction or in the third fraction, I'm going to multiply by a. Now, if I start to look across at all of my denominators, they all have 2 times a times a. Granted, they're not all written in the same order, but that's not that important. So what I end up with here is 1 over 2a squared minus a plus 2 over 2a squared equals 1 over 2a squared. Now, to save us a little bit of time, what we can do is we can multiply every single term by that common denominator. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and multiply all of my terms by 2a squared over 1. So I'm kind of not writing the step where I put it out in front of the whole fraction or the whole equation, but I'm multiplying everything by the same number. And I'm allowed to do that when solving an equation. So I've got 2a squared being multiplied by each of those fractions. Now I did multiply by 2a squared over 1 because my goal is to try to create those giant ones, which you can hopefully clearly see. There's giant ones here, there's a giant one here, and there's a giant one here. And the beauty behind that is we only have to write what's left in each fraction. So in this first fraction, I have 1 times 2a squared over 2a squared times 1. I still have a 1 there. Don't think you don't write anything there because there's just ones. It's a fraction of 1 over 1, which is 1. Minus, and then I have a plus 2 over 1. Now I'm going to put that a plus 2 in parentheses. And you can actually do this straight from the start if you want. Like whenever you see any kind of binomial in a fraction, if you put that in parentheses, it can really save you a lot of grief later. And then equals, again, we've just got 1. So what I really have here is 1 minus a minus 2 equals 1. This minus sign in front of this a plus 2 means we subtract everything inside of the parentheses. So it's 1 minus a and 1 minus 2. And then at that point, we should be able to solve that. So I'm going to add a to both sides. I'm also going to subtract 1 from both sides, and I get a equals negative 2. Now, as I said before, it's really important to check to make sure that you aren't going to get some kind of an error if you use a solution of a equals negative 2. If I go back up to my original problem, and I really just, for me, focus on the denominators, it saves you a little bit of time. You want to make sure that that negative 2 isn't going to result in a 0 in your original problem. So 2 times negative 2, that's not 0. We're good. 2 times negative 2 and then squared still isn't 0, and then negative 2 isn't 0. The goal here is just to make sure that we don't end up with a 0 in the denominator of your fraction. You should remember that from your earlier math classes, that results in something that's undefined. So we're just making sure we don't get an undefined value when we use our solution. Okay, I'm going to try a couple more with you on the next video. So go ahead and go there next.